A major accident closed US 231 in southern DuBois County yesterday afternoon. We tell you what happened, plus the city of Jasper is continuing work on new subdivision control and zoning ordinances, where things stand, and Kathy Treader talks about an upcoming event at the DuBois County Museum tonight on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. We begin tonight with 4 people being injured in a 4-vehicle accident that shut down US 231 yesterday afternoon. Just before 12:55 p.m., deputies say 37-year-old Jonathan Sheely of Evansville was driving northbound along US 231, about half a mile north of Interstate 64 when the accident occurred. Troopers say Sheely's semi then went left of center and sideswiped a southbound semi being driven by 21-year-old Knox Witt of Adela, Alabama. The trucks hit mirrors on initial impact, according to police. Sheely's semi then continued northbound, hitting a rear axle on Witt's trailer. Witt came to rest off of the roadway. Meanwhile, a car driven by 41-year-old Diana Jo Hanselman of Mariah Hill was southbound behind Witt and left the roadway to avoid hitting Sheely's truck. Hanselman went through a ditch and hit a utility pole head-on. Sheely continued going northbound and hit a car driven by 21-year-old Tiffany Vogler of Dupo, Illinois, head-on. That impact sent Vogler's car northbound, where it spun around and came to rest facing north. Vogler had to be extricated from her vehicle by firefighters on scene due to the severity of the damage to her car. Vogler and 2 passengers, 20-year-old Thomas Vogler Jr. of Dupo and 48-year-old Thomas Vogler Sr. of Tilden, Illinois, were taken to Memorial Hospital in Jasper for treatment of non-life-threatening injuries. Witt was also taken to Memorial Hospital for treatment of a minor head injury. Hanselman was not injured. State police say they are continuing to investigate the crash, and inspections of the semis are being done by the Indiana State Police's Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division. Troopers say traffic charges against Sheely are pending following his involvement in this crash. US 231 was closed for more than 2 hours while the accident scene was being cleaned up. The DuBois County Sheriff's Department, the St. Henry Volunteer Fire Department, and Memorial Hospital EMS also assisted. Work on new subdivision control and zoning ordinances in the city of Jasper continues to move forward. Last night, the steering committee formed to work on the new ordinances held its first of 6 monthly meetings in the Pfaffenweiler Room in Jasper City Hall. The meeting was led by planning consultant K.K. Gerhardt Fritz with Indianapolis-based The Planning Workshop. Several issues were presented during last night's meeting. The biggest of these was enforcement of ordinances. Currently, the city sends out up to 3 letters for folks found to be in violation of the ordinances. If the letters get nowhere, then the matter goes before the city's Planning Commission. Director of Community Development and Planning Darla Blasey says it will be important to enforce any new ordinance that is created.
We're trying to tighten up that language. I know KK, our consultant with the Planning Workshop, has mentioned that other communities have a ticketing system similar to what like the police department would have, so that if there is a violation, it could possibly have a ticket, as its first situation instead of the letters that we're writing right now.
A second issue that was discussed was architecture standards for the future. Blasey says any standards would likely be done with the look of the downtown area in mind.
The downtown is not on a National Register district, but there has been talk about that for a number of years, and that's part of our Downtown Riverfront Master Plan as a recommendation. So we're looking at how those standards could be in place to kind of protect the look and character of our downtown. That's an example of what we could do with architectural standards.
Temporary uses were also discussed. Blasey says the city does not have temporary permits at this point. However, she says the city does have the ability to grant temporary uses. Among ideas for the ordinance suggested by committee members was new uses for older buildings. Jasper Chamber Director Nancy Eckerly is on the steering committee. She says repurposing some of the city's older buildings could draw more people.
Well, I think it would give a whole different look to the city if those older buildings could be rehabbed somehow. It would really give a different element. I think people would enjoy living more in the downtown area and taking advantage of the uniqueness of that opportunity to do that. It would just maybe also put a little bit of pressure on some of the building owners to do a variety of things, or maybe even entice outside investors or someone different to purchase the building and then repurpose those buildings.
Eckerly says retail and other business establishments could be done along with living areas. She says that idea has taken off and has become popular in bigger cities. In other news, a unique plea deal has been struck for a Pike County woman found guilty of child neglect. Jennifer Gist originally pled guilty to a Class D felony for neglect of a dependent last week. Her sentence was originally 20 weekends in the Pike County Jail. Now, here's the unique part of her sentence. The 28-year-old Winslow resident will be standing in front of the Pike County Courthouse to inform folks about the dangers of child neglect using a sandwich signboard. This part of Gist's plea deal does have benefits for her. She would be able to cut her jail sentence in half by standing in front of the courthouse with the sign. It's unknown how long Gist would stand with the sign or what the sign would have on it. Her sentence also includes probation and community service. Now, Gist was originally charged back in May of 2013 after Petersburg police found her 2 children walking along Main Street in Petersburg. This happened after a similar incident where police found her children playing on nearby railroad tracks back in July of 2012. During the plea hearing, Gist stated that she did not follow a safety plan from the Indiana Department of Child Services, which involved her putting a safety latch on the back door of her home. Police say there was no latch on the back door when her children were found along Main Street. Now, in Pike County, this is not the first time that public displays have been utilized as a sentencing option. Last February, Larry Bass of Petersburg stood in front of the courthouse with a sandwich board stating that he was a registered sex offender and that he had purchased alcohol for minors. Last night, the Southwest DuBois School Board welcomed their newest member. 34-year-old Leslie Petrie was sworn in by Board Attorney Phil Schneider at the beginning of last night's meeting. The Huntingburg native is a 1997 graduate of Southbridge High School and attended Vincennes University Jasper campus. Petrie is employed as a loan processor and financial support specialist at Farm Credit Mid-America. She and her husband Chad live in Holland and are the parents of 2 children, both of whom are current students at Holland Elementary School. Petrie was appointed to finish the remainder of former board member Jerome Beaning's term, which is set to conclude at the end of the year. Beaning decided back in December to retire from the board. Petrie says she decided to apply for the open seat on the board because she felt the timing was right to serve the district.
I am so proud to be from Huntingburg and Holland, Southbridge graduate like you mentioned, and I just was looking for an opportunity to serve the community, and with my kids being in school and being very involved in the athletic programs, I also have a brother that's a junior in high school, so I'm at all these functions and I'm here anyway, and it's just something I'm passionate about is our school and our town, so I just thought this was the best place, a good fit for me.
Petrie says she plans to use the time served on the remainder of the current term to help her decide if serving on the Southwest School Board is the right fit for her. She says for now, however, she plans to run for a full term in the next election. Petrie joins current board members Kevin Wertman, Chris New, Michael Broker, and board member Sharon Hildebransky. The Rotary Club of Jasper is now accepting nominations for one of its prestigious awards. The nominations are being accepted for this year's Athena International Award. Athena International is a not-for-profit group whose mission is to develop, support, and recognize women in leadership roles. The program was originally founded back in 1982 by Martha Mayhood Mertz. More than 6,000 of the awards have been given since the program was founded. Award winners come from more than 500 communities spanning the U.S., Canada, China, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United Arab Emirates. Now, this year marks the 3rd award presented in DuBois County. Brenda Stallings won it last year, and Jane Chappell was the first winner of the award back in 2012. This year's presentation will feature Leah Curry as the keynote speaker. Curry serves as the Vice President of Manufacturing for Toyota Motor Manufacturing of Indiana. The deadline for nominations this year is May 2nd, and to nominate someone, you can download an entry form at jasperrotary.com. Finalists for the award are set to be announced on or before July 1st. This year's award presentation dinner will be held at the Huntingburg Event Center on Thursday, August 21st. That ceremony will begin at 6 p.m. that evening, and all finalists are set to be honored. The end is now in sight for the 3rd Avenue water main replacement project. Officials with the Jasper Street Department say they, along with project contractor J.H. Rudolph, are set to patch the trench for the 3rd Avenue project this upcoming week. Starting on Monday, crews will be doing patchwork along 3rd Avenue between Hope Avenue and Stadtstrasse. The project will begin at 8 a.m. each day and will run till 6 p.m. daily. Now, part of the work will involve removing the stone from the trench before asphalt can be put down. This will result in access restrictions for area residents and businesses. Officials say entrances to all driveways will be open at the end of each day. Motorists are being encouraged to find an alternative route during this time, as 3rd Avenue is only going to be open to one lane of traffic during work hours. Street Department and J.H. Rudolph officials ask that you use caution while traveling in the work zone. They say 3rd Avenue is set to be paved later in the summer when final preparation work is done. Finally this evening, a performance centered around Helen Keller is coming to Jasper next weekend. The Miracle Worker, a performance put on by Montana Repertory Theater, will be performed at the Jasper Arts Center next Saturday, March 29th. That performance is set to start at 7:30 p.m. The Miracle Worker is the story of Helen Keller finding her way to knowledge and understanding through the help of her tutor, Anne Sullivan. In the play, Keller overcomes rage and confusion to win out over her physical disabilities. Keller was deaf and blind throughout her lifetime. More on this production is available at montanarep.org. Now, this production is one of several that Montana Repertory Theater has put on that relates to human experience stories in America. The group is one of America's oldest touring companies, as they have been touring since 1968. Some of their more recent classics have included Bus Stop and To Kill a Mockingbird. That play was performed in Jasper back in 2009. Tickets for next Saturday's performance are still available, and you can call 482-3070 to get your ticket. Tickets are $35 for adults, $33 for seniors, and student and children tickets are $30. All right, coming up after the break, your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform featuring Kathy Treader. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.